I work in I work in the festival industry quite a bit right now. I've given away an award uh, that is in honor of my dad's memory, and I've been doing that since 2015. And so I end up knowing a lot about festivals, notwithstanding the fact that, growing up, I went to film festivals pretty much, you know, bi-monthly. You know what I mean? This is part of the industry. Festivals are part of the indie film industry. And it is an industry because a lot of a lot of what you're doing when you're writing this short, we talked about writing it earlier. We talked about the collaborative process, but nevertheless, it comes down to directing. As you talked about, Jenny, and distribution, as Michelle talked about. So that one of the very preliminary things that we do is we go to film festivals with short films. Short film festivals happen to be very hot right now because of the length of time that people have as far as their attention span. And short films, can hold your attention for a good amount of time. And the really great short films can hold your attention the whole time. However, it is a business. Festivals are nonprofit organizations, but they are still a business. And my advice, my first bit of advice would be just cut what you have down under 10 minutes. I think that's extremely important to make sure that you come out at 9 minutes and 59 seconds or less. That is a great starting point for the finalization of your creative process. The script you write, the script you shoot, and the script you edit. And in short film world, the edit should be 9 minutes and 59 seconds or less. Should be. It's not a rule of thumb. You can do what you want. You're an artist, you're a creator. I've seen great short films that are a minute long, that are in the same competition, film festival competition that this one is. This is just under 10 minutes. It's a business. These guys, these programmers, these folks that run the festivals, they genuinely really want to help filmmakers. They also have some prerogatives to keep themselves going and to keep themselves funded. There's a category called short films. It is usually in a block of 60 to 90 minute window where they program as many films into that block as possible. And it's a competitive market, as you can imagine. If you've seen 100 films going into a festival, you're seeing 1,000 or 2,000 short films going into the festivals competing for the same spots. So short films are very competitive. And that's one of the reasons I say, I was talking earlier about honing your craft, making sure that you're bringing your first and best short film to the front. So do a bunch of them. Do a bunch of them on your phone. Do a bunch of them with the cameras here and the equipment here at Houston Media Source. Keep working and keep honing what you want to say, making sure that when you're at the festival, when people are asking you questions, when the actors that you're working with want to know that there's an answer, that you have a real direction, because part of being a director and part of being a filmmaker is having a direction. That's one of the reasons they're called directors, is because they know where to go. They're directing. So under 10 minutes, I think that's a very good starting point. Keep it simple, right? Keep it as simple as possible. This was a short that was envisioned to take place in one room, honestly, and as the project developed, it sort of migrated itself with those two guys sitting in the car. But originally, it was really just supposed to be, in my head, when I was creating it, a one-act play that happened in one room. So that's an advantage that you have as well. I think what you were saying about the editing on Mad Max, where everything is center frame, I think that there should be a central sort of theme to the outcome of your short film, especially when you're going out to distribution, to because film festivals are kind of a distribution to distribution. Um, so one of the things that that film festivals look for are short films that have a point of view, that have a place where they're going, and that have, I said one thing and I'm actually saying three things: a point of view, a place where it's going, and a centralized idea behind it, right? So when you're writing, those are really important elements, and most people will tell you that those are important elements of storytelling, and I agree. But you're entering into a marketplace when you're making your short film and you're ready to go and take it to a film festival. You're entering a marketplace that's oversaturated, just like Michelle was talking about. So keep in mind that these programmers that are watching your short are watching lots and lots of other short films. So their attention span gets even shorter. So that's another great goal, to keep it under 10 minutes, because they've got a short attention span, because they've got 2 or 3 times as many films to watch as the feature programmers do. Um, one more thing about the um, initial entry into the festival world. I highly recommend going after local festivals. That is to say, Texas is great because there are tons of local festivals. Austin's got like 2 a month, not even joking. Dallas has 10. Houston has a handful. But I mean, places like San Antonio, they got a film festival. Marfa's got a film festival. There's film festivals all over the place here in Texas. And festivals are really great about giving you a hotel room. They're not great about getting you to that hotel room. So I recommend looking places where you could drive to. And also, if you know somebody there, that's even better, because you can just go stay with them in case the festival doesn't have an extra hotel room or doesn't give short film festivals hotel rooms, things of that nature. Um, but it's a business. These festivals are businesses. Just as much as when we're talking about distribution that you want a demographic to fill, these festivals are also thinking about that way. A lot of these festivals start to turn into genre film festivals. You got, the Asian American Film Festival of Dallas. That's obviously a very specific demographic that they're targeting, because they know they can continue their business going, right? Um, so think about the demographic of the festival that you're going to. A lot of festivals have a local sort of spotlight kind of a thing, like a Texas spotlight. That's another reason I recommend, because we're all Houston filmmakers, I recommend going to film festivals that are in Texas. They'll have a local spotlight. That increases your chances. If you're going for a film in Florida and you're from Texas, and Florida's already got 10 spots they need to have for their short film local spotlight, well, then you got 10 more ahead of you. You see what I'm saying? Um, so the other part of that business is you got to have audience members show up. The festivals are nonprofits, but they're also making their money through the ticket sales. And the short film that I made obeyed several rules: length, it had recognizable faces, and it had an interesting soundtrack. Something that you're not falling asleep listening to the soundtrack. You got your short attention span going because it's less than 10 minutes, and you have recognizable faces. So these are all things that are marketable to festivals. These are all things, when you start the festival circuit, you get like a little mini distributor glance, right? You get like a little mini sort of run up and down the rails of what a distributor's looking for. There's the social element as well, because festivals are like Tom was saying, it's all parties and glitz and glam and red carpets and all that. So there's that entertainment aspect of it too. And festivals are looking for things that are entertaining. They may be an educational film festival of Timbuktu. Well, they're looking for educational film, right? So just hone in on what you're going to do. Make your short however you want it, and then hone in on what you're really going to go after as far as film festivals. You know, short films are a powerful tool these days. Um, it's much more likely that your short film is going to get into more festivals than your feature-length film. Um, I made a feature-length film. It got into one festival. The short film got into like 6, 7 festivals. One of them was in Germany. They flew me to Germany. I mean, seriously, it was rad. You know, so it's like seriously, this is a really fun thing to do. Make a short film, work on it, make it good, create your story, and then apply to a bunch of film festivals. You know, now here's the good news about film festivals. A lot of them are super cheap. A lot of them are like $25 entry fees. You know what I mean? You pay the entry fee. A lot of them are like you go in with your entry fee, and that's the only out-of-pocket expense you'll end up with, besides gas money and that kind of thing. But like that's a great deal to get into a spotlight where you can sit around with a bunch of filmmakers, network like we were talking about earlier. There's another aspect to meeting filmmakers, meeting other filmmakers like ourselves at these festivals. So the short film is a valuable tool. It will help you get into film festivals. Film festivals are like a trade show. And we made this film in Los Angeles, California, and it got me the job at Cheaters that we were talking about earlier. Now, that's weird because I made a narrative, and Cheaters is basically docudrama, reality show. The thing is, it got me the job because that was a calling card. It showed people that I knew how to make something. I knew how to make the right decisions to get this done. We shot it in 10 hours, which is really hard to do. When you start shooting your short film, spend a couple of days thinking about, you know, how long is this really going to take me? You know, when you're on set and your location manager, or you, because you're the location manager, didn't realize that there's a bus stop out the door, and every 5 minutes you have to stop, or you'll just have a bus running over the lines. You know, that's one of those things where, well, now I've got, you know, even less time to get what I need to get done, to say what I need to say. So that's why I also really encourage y'all, just start out, make mistakes, make short films with your buddies, work with your family and friends, and then when you really have honed down what you want, where you want to go with your story and with your idea, at that point start working with casting, or start putting putting ads out on one of the local theater websites, one of the local community college websites. You know, I've done lots of low budget films where we do a release to the local theater companies, the local community colleges, and we get really quality people that come in that are solid, that know what they're doing, that know how to memorize their lines, and will be there on time and not complain if they've got to wait an hour before they're ready and on set. You know, so film festivals are very important. It's a trade show. It's a place where you get exposed to other filmmakers. It's a place where you learn somewhat about distribution and how that works, because you'll see some film come in there, and they will all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're all standing around in the lobby yucking it up because that feature just got picked up at the film festival. There are lots of people at film festivals that are into distribution. You know, I mean, obviously something like Sundance has tons of distributors there. The smaller ones do too. The smaller film festivals have distributors, and when they see a short film, many times that can be a springboard for a feature film or for a series. Lately it's been series. However, when I was doing the festival circuit with this, one of the short films that was in competition with this film got distribution before the festival was over. There was a young British fellow, and he walked out of the. He walked out. We walked out. We all got out of the. We were in the same block, and a distributor walked right up to him and pulled him aside. And by the time he was at the award ceremony, he was talking about how he had just gotten distribution like the day before. So it's a real legitimate way to be a working filmmaker. You know, is Cheaters art? I don't think so. However, it was a great job for as long as it lasted. It was 10 years. It was a great job for as long as that series lasted. And I learned I learn every day on film. Every film that I make, I learn more. Every project that I'm involved with, I make more. Professionally, I'm a producer. That's what I do for a living. If I hadn't had the job at Cheaters, I may not be doing that. I may be doing something else. If I hadn't shot the short, I know that I wouldn't be at Cheaters. You see what I'm saying? So there is an end game. You may not be Chris Nolan working on some epic intergalactic film. However, you are still a filmmaker working in your chosen field. You know what I'm saying? It's not a pie in the sky dream. And I'm joking about the short, but it's not a pie in the sky dream. It's a reality. It's a way to create a life for yourself. If you want to be a filmmaker, go make that short film. Go make 10. Go make 20. Keep at it. There are the foundations of film festivals come from what would be the maverick film movement in the 1960s and 1970s. There were young filmmakers that got their hands on 16 millimeter cameras. I know you talked about this. I'm doing a little regurgitation. They got their hands on film cameras and would go and make films like Five Easy Pieces, Easy Rider, A Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. And they would go and make these films, and there was nowhere for them to show, right? Because there was the Hollywood studio system, as we talked about earlier. So these very small film festivals would pop up in big cities, oftentimes based around college campuses, because you could get college people to show up and watch a movie they'd never heard of. So that started out being what film festivals rooted into as college campuses and the world of young people. And so that movement turned into the Maverick Film Movement, which became pretty much the way you make films by the 1970s. Now we're back in the studio system, but for a very long time, it was independent filmmakers raising their own funds, making movies, and then the big studios would take on the distribution aspect of it and put it in theaters. So film festivals are very useful tools. They've been around for a very long time. Art is a big word. A-R-T is a huge word. Filmmaking is a segment of that big word. Even though there's more letters in the word filmmaker than there is in the word art, I really want to just close with saying, please make art. Do it for everyone. Please make what you want, because we all have an artist inside of us. There's a trucker that I know, not even joking, that drives trucks for movie sets, and he goes home and he puts together mosaic tiles inside of his house, and all of his plumbing and all of his fixtures in his house are his own mosaic tiles. And he and I sat down and over many IPAs had a long argument about how I was the artist and he was not. My argument was, no, you're the artist, because you go home and you do something I can't do. You put this mosaics together, and these beautiful pieces of art that are all over his house. And I said, you changed the world. And he said, well, you changed the world too, man. And I said, okay, but we're both artists. So by the end of it, we were both artists. We're all artists in this room. Go for it. Do what you want. Make it work. And when you get something that is where you want it to be, go to those film festivals. They really want emerging talent. They really love showcasing local filmmakers. Well, if you're going to pay somebody, find the grouchiest, most experienced camera operator you can that pulls the focus and deals with the camera itself. Pay that person, because you can go and find a DP at any film school that'll be more than happy to do it for free for their, film reel or what have you. But audio is really important, y'all. It really is truly important, and you can get really inexpensive, great deals on audio here at Houston Media Source. This right here is, what is that? A 4-channel? 8-channel. That's an 8-channel. Sound audio recording device called a bag. That's a phenomenal piece of equipment right there. And so here's some really good advice I can give you. If you can get your equipment at a very low cost, find an expert and pay that person to use the low-cost equipment. Because a lot of times people own their own gear. They own their own audio gear, makeup, cameras. A lot of these guys own their own gear, and it gets really expensive because they want to charge you more because they've spent $10,000 and they want to amortize that, right? So if you get gear that's really good at a low cost, find people that are experts in their field and pay them. They'll do it for a lower rate because they don't have to mess with their own stuff, bust their own stuff, carry their own stuff. You know what I mean? They can just show up and be like, oh, you got that? Great. This is great. I know how to use it. I'm moving on. So that's a good piece of advice. That's a really good question. Yeah, really good question. Yeah. Music composers, film composers, guys that write music, they love writing music. As the ones that I've met and the ones that I've worked with, people that want to write music, they really enjoy writing music, and so that's something that you could trade off. You get a piece of music in my short film, but I don't want to pay you to write it though. You know what I mean? That's another good trade-off. But music can cost money. Philip Glass, we had to pay for that, and we had to pay for the Miles Davis song. Sly and the Family Stone was free. And there's one more song. Sting, you paid for the rights of it. So what you do is you pay for the festival rights. They have this breakdown now called festival rights, and you can get through the catalog. They'll have a catalog, EMC Music or HMI Music or whatever the thing is called. They'll have a catalog and say, these are our festival rights songs, and so they lower the cost. As long as the agreement is, you're not going to broadcast it, you're not going to, make any sort of profit off of it. And if you do make a profit, then you got to pay us part of that profit, right? We never made any profit off this short film. We showed it in festivals, and I was able to get a job out of it, and that was it. We never really made any money. But this was 2003, so there wasn't a whole lot of places where it could go. Now there's a lot more, especially streaming. There would be a lot more of a landing pad for a short film.
To pay. There are two different music rights, publishing rights,
right.
and performing rights.
Right.
So if you want to do a cover, that's the cheapest way to do it. Is to license just the publishing rights and get the lyrics and the music, and then you get whoever to sing the song. So you can get expensive songs for cheap, but if you want the actual performer performing that song, so there are two different rights to deal with. So that's a way to cut costs and still get name brands.
Even if you change the rhythm.
If you change then you're adapting copyrighted material, and you're gonna get screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, it happens quite a bit. It really does. From a filmmaker's perspective, I like I said, I go to film festivals multiple times a year, and I talk to everybody. South by Southwest is slipping down as far as the filmmakers go. Now, prestige, obviously, Sundance, South by Southwest, that's all prestige. But I'm talking about as far as what I would recommend personally. I would recommend like Toronto for sure, and um, Telluride, Toronto and Telluride. That's what I would say would be great. Wonderful film festivals. They know what they're doing. They take care of their artists. And from what I hear, Sundance doesn't take care of its artists, and neither does South by Southwest. It's kind of cattle herded. People are kind of cattle herded through, and that's what I hear. Oh yeah, the entry fees are higher. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I do an award at the Dallas International Film Festival. It's called the Maverick Filmmaker Award. And this last year, I did the very first time I did an award at the Tallgrass Film Festival in Wichita, Kansas, which is called that was a fan. By the way, guys, Tallgrass Film Festival, great film festival. Tallgrass is awesome. Tallgrass is really great. And that award is called the Storyteller Award. The Maverick Filmmaker Award I give to a director, auteur, and the Storyteller Award I give to a writer, a screenwriter. And so I'm just, what I want to do, my directive on this is to really just to raise awareness of independent voices through film festivals, and that's where I'm really headed with this. I'm only 3 years in. I don't know where it will end up being, because it's starting to travel away from Texas. It's starting to travel away from where I'm at, and starting to go. I'm getting calls from people in California and stuff like that. So I don't know where it's going to be in another couple of years. But right now, I do it at the Tallgrass Film Festival and Dallas International Film Festival. Yeah, Without a Box is great. Without a Box is great. It's Yep, Film Freeway is really good. You mean Hollywood Reporter? You know, all the mags, all the industry mags have upcoming events. But you know, Film Freeway and Without a Box, they have like every film festival. They have stuff that you've never heard of. They have little tiny ones that are you know in your local area, you know, like the Latino Film Fest. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff that doesn't get a whole lot of attention. But yeah, I think those two are good. Yes, I had a feature film script that I was carrying around with me when I entered this into festivals. So yes, one of the things would be to get enough attention and win enough awards that somebody would go ahead and pay for the feature film to be made. Getting a job was definitely one of the end games, getting more work out of it. The expectation that I had was more of like, you know, doing like TV commercials, or, you know, getting hired to do another kind of a job, maybe not exactly directing, or maybe getting a writing gig because someone liked the writing of this. I did not expect to get a, you know, nationally syndicated broadcast TV show deal out of that. That was bizarre. But I mean, that was what happened, you know. The entry level position is called a production assistant on film sets. Almost every department, camera, lighting, wardrobe, almost every department will have a slot for a production assistant. The best way to do that is to know somebody that's in the film industry. It's not hard to get a production assisting job, but it is hard to get a production assisting job. If you go to the Houston, what's the HoustonFilmCommission.com, if you just Google it, .org or something like that, it's .com. They have it up on their website that every Tuesday, or first Thursdays, and last Tuesdays. Got it. So there's another really, really great resource, which is, like you were saying, the Houston Film Commission, the Texas Film Commission. They will list crew calls on there. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful evening.